Hi everybody, today we are joined by Mr. Simon Crompton, founder of Permanent Style, man of great style himself, as well as a guru of all things menswear related. And Simon is here visiting us in Hong Kong, which I'm super happy about. It's been a while, Simon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
We should talk a little bit about what we're wearing right now. So what are you wearing?
Sure. So I am wearing a jacket, an unusual jacket. It's made by a Neapolitan tailor, Chardy, but the cloth is from a company called De La Quona in London, who sell upholstery fabrics. So it's a heavy linen used largely for curtains and sofas and that kind of thing. I got to know them through the company Emma Willis in London, who are using their fabrics for dressing gowns, and I really liked the look of this linen that was very, very kind of slubby and kind of rustic.
I thought it was silk for a second, actually.
Yeah. It's really nice. It does not tailor very well, and doesn't hold its shape very well, but I really love it.
No, it looks great. I love it.
So I'm wearing this from Chardy. I'm wearing a shirt from Jean-Manuel Moreau in Paris, a button-down pop-over shirt in a cotton linen mix. Trousers and a high twist dark brown wool. I think it was a Draper's 2-ply from a brand called Perro, which no longer exists. And shoes that are their vintage Ralph Lauren crocodile tassel loafers.
These are good.
Yeah, I really like a low vamp loafer, and I think that you made a lot of these in the 90s, and can't really find them very easily anymore. So
yeah, where'd you get them?
eBay.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw a pair at Sean Crowley's in New York, which were too big for me, but really loved them. So then I spent a while on eBay trying to find the same model and eventually found it.
Very elegant. I love it.
Very nice. You want to watch as well?
Sure.
You like watches?
I do like watches. So
I'm wearing my Reverso. I'm going to murder the pronunciation, but Jaeger LeCoultre.
There we go.
Yes. Small Reverso on a black leather strap. Have fairly small wrists, so I like this kind of size. But I think also I don't know what you would say, more about watches than me, but I think this size is a very good ergonomic one.
I love
for
this
most
size.
guys' wrists.
I love this size. This was the Classique, I think it was called the Classic Medium.
Okay.
Classic Medium, I think that was the name of the size. They still have it in the range, thankfully. I thought you had more than one Reverso. You had a few, right?
Nope, just the one.
Oh, it's just this one. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 different straps for it,
okay.
which I swap out now and again. Much cheaper than having multiple watches.
That's true. That's true. That's good.
And what are you wearing, Mark?
This is the Armoury's Model 103 in Piacenza's camel hair suiting. Yeah.
What's camel hair like for a suiting?
Pretty good. Really, I'm surprised how much I like it. I was actually wearing this in Dubai last week, and it's not bad in hot weather, but on a cooler day, it's not bad as well.
So kind of soft, like cashmere, but a bit stronger,
No.
so tailor's better?
It's a very worsted feeling,
It is.
It doesn't have that sort of fluffiness. It's quite compact. Apparently, cashmere is not scaly. It's a hollow fiber.
Yeah.
And so as a result, not cashmere, camel hair. It's a hollow fiber, and as a result, it insulates and it drapes quite differently. It's been interesting. I've really been enjoying wearing this.
Nice.
They can only make the suiting out of baby camel hair. They can't make it out of adult camel hair. It's a little too coarse, but the baby camel hair is suitable for suiting. It doesn't take certain colors very well. So if you look at the navy version of this, the blue is a bit of an odd blue, and it has a tinge of yellow, which is cool, but it's a little.
That's why you normally see it in kind of shades of brown, basically more natural shades.
Exactly. Which honestly, I think it's a lovely color.
Yeah.
Little bit of Jumor knitwear. Big fan of Jumor, especially their fine gauge stuff. And then Cannon's loafers and a Drake shirt. And this is a AP. I'm a big fan of the quartz Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks because they're very thin like that. And they were overlooked for a long time. You used to be able to get them super cheap.
Well, because there's sort of a bit of snobbishness about quartz models.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. This is just a little chat. It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be nice to, catch up a little bit. Maybe talk a bit of wardrobe stuff.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good.
This is meant to be part of Sartorial Asia, which is our celebration of tailoring. We've been doing this for quite a while now, too, right? Permanent Style is 18 years old?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah, almost an adult.
Almost an adult, almost drinking age. And then Armoury is 15, so illegal drinking age, but it's out there. It's out there boozing. Let's start with this. What have you learned, or how do you think you've evolved last 18 years in terms of wardrobes? Because when we first started, right, we were always thinking about the next blue blazer, the next suit, right? But now it's not about that anymore. It's actually about like lifestyle, about like everything in your closet all at once, considered all at once.
So you mean how has my wardrobe kind of evolved? Or I mean like how has the thinking on permanent style and what it covers kind of evolved?
Let's make it more personal. How's your personal wardrobe evolved? Because every person's wardrobe is different too.
Yeah. I think it's. I think one thing I find it's quite hard to separate is your own journey from the other kind of trends that are going on in menswear generally. Like some things, like I find I wear a lot of like quite neutral dark colors, like this cream and dark brown and black, for example, and that felt like my thing until I realized that everyone else was also doing it. And now you see that kind of tonal thing a lot of places, including women's wear, including fashion. But I think what I've learned over time is that those kind of fashions they come and go a little bit. And if you're keeping your eye out, you'll find little things in that you'll take over time and you'll kind of adapt as well. So I think there's elements of this that are probably part of like the zeitgeist, but also parts of it that I'll probably always kind of carry on wearing.
Yeah.
And I think also I found as you get a little bit older, you tend to settle a bit more into your style as well. So you're not quite as keen to change new things or not quite as excited by completely new looks you see. So your looks might almost be kind of fluctuating. It's naturally over time, but they tend to kind of settle down and fluctuate less as you get a bit older.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think that you reach a point where the zeitgeist definitely changes faster than you do.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good
and
point.
There's no need to stay in sync with it anymore. You know, you have your own rhythm to it versus the rhythm that society or the world or the fashion or whatever is dictating at the time, which is fine with me too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're trying to maintain a bespoke wardrobe especially, you know, it's like, what, you're going to make vastly different things every year. That's crazy too.
Yeah, exactly. I think often I find the key there is moderation a lot. Like I always remember an old Sartorial tailor telling me that, you know, the fashions the lapel width would go from 2 inches to 7 inches, but their lapels went from 3 to 3.5 or 3 to 4 or something. So like they would still go with the fashions and kind of follow it over decades, but they would never go to the same extreme.
Yeah.
And I find it's the same kind of thing. Like I think often a good barometer is things like with men is often trousers, for example. Like I think you've seen a lot of trousers get wider in the last 10 years, but mine have probably got like, you know, an inch wider or something on the hem, whereas, you know, a fashion person now or someone getting into tailoring for the first time might go for quite a very wide trouser because that's more of the fashion now, whereas 10, 15 years ago they might have gone for something which is very slim and very short, you know, so they're kind of going to extremes, whereas you might adapt a little bit as you get older still, and you're still kind of aware of that, but you just do it in moderation.
I mean, the trouser thing's actually especially interesting because that felt very dramatic to me. It really felt like we were on, you know, sort of like 18 centimeter leg openings, and then all of a sudden we're on 22, right? And there wasn't really a moment in between.
Yeah.
And weirdly, I think that might even be driven a bit by COVID, because everyone was so used to wearing sweatpants or not wearing pants at all when they're working from home remotely. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want that kind of loosey-goosey feeling all day long, you know?
You're probably right. I think like COVID has a lot of things. It accelerated changes that were happening anyway, right, in the workplace and lots of other things, and that's probably one that happened as well. You know, things were getting more casual and more like that, but they just kind of went faster.
Yeah, I think that's also an interesting, like that's connected interestingly to sort of practical uses of your wardrobe. You know, you are always going to use your wardrobe in a way that's relevant to the way that you live your life.
Yeah, very true.
Color-wise, palette-wise.
Yeah, I think, again, I think you settle into a palette that you like as you get a bit older. I think I can see how a lot of people a lot of readers on the website who are maybe kind of a bit older talk about how they feel they have a lot more freedom as they get older, particularly when they're kind of retired, and they realize that they just love wearing color because it feels joyful and fun. And I completely get that, and I can understand how that would be completely joyful. I think I seem to get more joy out of like just small changes in tones between browns and greys or changes in textures and materials like that. So maybe you feel you have more freedom, but you kind of learn the things that give you joy, and you learn to accept that some things do and other things, you know, less so, and accept those.
Do you feel like the palette got wider or narrower?
For me, it's definitely narrow, I think.
Yeah. What were the colors you dropped?
So I think I dress in much more what I think of as like a set of more urban colours rather than kind of more country kind of colours. So particularly for tailoring, I wear a lot fewer warm colours, less kind of strong greens and warm browns, burnt oranges, all that kind of stuff, which are they're beautiful traditional, like really classic menswear colours. And someone like Bruce Boyle, like a mutual friend, like wears really well, but it's not really something I feel is me when I kind of wear it. So I've become more tonal and more subtle and more browns and greys and creams and that kind of thing. I think the only exception, that's probably the tailoring, I think the only exception is when you get to like more casual clothing, like weekend clothing I'd call it, and then I will wear kind of brighter and stronger colours, but that's a lot of like, still it's denim and like heavy canvas, a bit more kind of tobacco and shades of denim, but it's still not really bright colours most of the time. Or if it is bright colours, it's only for like a pop of colour or an accent, like a red like watch cap or you know, or yellow gloves or something like that. It's not really colour you're wearing elsewhere. Like I had a whole, just going through like a lot of people have too many clothes. I went through the process of getting out winter clothes like a few weeks ago and changed a few things around, and I still have like 3 or 4 Shetland jumpers that I love the idea of, but I basically never wear. And I think because a Shetland jumper is a beautiful thing, but it's particularly one that's kind of very like really lovely and fuzzy, and the colours in them are beautiful, but I just never wear those colours really. Like I had a bright yellow one and a really rich purple.
You kind of wanted to try it, and then you set it down.
And I think like, then I put it away. Oh, I didn't wear it this year. Maybe I'll wear it next year. And the next year, get it out and like, I didn't wear this for 2 years. Like this is just, it's not me. So you have to find another home for it.
Yeah, I certainly sympathize with that. I mean, as like kind of a watch guy myself, you know, the idea of pruning the collection, because it's also easier to prune watch collections because they're kind of more liquid. You know, with clothing, there's always that sense of like, oh man, do I just like chuck this? I mean, obviously there's like great consignment avenues. You try and find some friends, family friends especially, who might be your size, and at least like you try to find a good home.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But it's a hassle, more so than watches for sure.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely. Yeah, we actually just started, Lucas and I started doing a pre-owned sale in the showroom in London, which was really fun. So I think we'll do it at least twice a year. We did the first one back in September. And that was quite funny because it was 5 of us, like 5 friends in menswear, and everyone had like a rack of clothes and then some shoes and things on the floor. And those 5 people were pretty much like 5 sizes.
Oh, that's great.
Like Lucas is like the top end. He's like sort of a 54. Guy called Luke Walker, who does the LEJ brand, is sort of like more like a 38 below me. I was like a 40, and so you had most kind of menswear sizes between those two. And you found that actually, before everyone else arrived, everyone was just like buying clothes from the person who was a size up from them, because everyone had got a little bit too big for their clothes. So like the guy down from Lucas was buying Lucas's clothes, and I was buying clothes from Alex Nat, who was a size up from me. and I was selling some stuff onto Luke and things.
So basically, except for the guy at the uppermost size.
Yeah, Lucas lost out because Lucas at the top end was never bigger than me. But yeah, that was a really nice way to do it. I think you do it with menswear guys in particular. It's very straightforward because everyone knows what all the clothes are. Everyone appreciates all the things that are there, and they know exactly what they're going to wear and what they're getting for their money. So that's easy.
Oh, how did you price it?
I mean, pretty like generously. I'd say it was sort of 60-70% off, like most stuff. I mean, really, like you were saying, like price isn't really the point. For a lot of these things, they're clothes that you really love and you still think are great, and you just want to find a new home for them. So everyone walks away having made, a couple of grand or whatever, and that's great, and they fund like the purchase of something else. But it's the point really is to have that kind of way, that market to kind of give new things to people. And
was there much bespoke?
Yeah, I had 3 or 4 things, bespoke things, a couple of suits, a couple of pairs of shoes, which is always hard, like shoes particularly a bit harder because often a very particular fit. But I remember like the first ever pair of bespoke shoes I bought was in a sale that Cleverly used to do only once a year, and they used to sell off all the bespoke ones, and I had like this beautiful pair and they didn't really fit, and if you wore them for like a lot of walking, they become a little bit painful, but I'd never had something which had that kind of bespoke shape and quality to it. So you see some young guys coming in buying like a pair of like my bespoke shoes, that's really nice because they can never begin to afford something like that. So the fact they can kind of get that for a few hundred quid, I think is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is weird letting go of bespoke stuff, because not so much because it was yours, but because you imagine, hey, this is like a really special snowflake, right? But then you realize, oh, actually, a lot of people can wear this too. Maybe I wasn't quite as special a shape or as special a person as I thought I was. It's a bit of a hit on the ego, I think.
Yeah. So have you found it hard to sell bespoke things like that? No.
No, for me, I'm just like, well, I'm not wearing. Like, if you're not wearing it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you're not wearing it, I think that says everything. Especially after 2 years, if you're not wearing it, I think that really says everything.
What have you done with those kind of pieces? You use it. You don't do it through Drop 93 or something, or do you do it through friends? What do you do?
You know what's sad is like somehow all the people we hire at the Armoury are not my size or not like one size smaller than me.
Okay.
So I can't seem to get rid of it to anyone in the company. Everyone's bigger than me. And so yeah, Drop 93 is the main place. But I keep saying, like you, we should just do like hey, this is like what would you call it? Like not a jumble sale, because that kind of sounds kind of terrible.
A pre-owned sale, I think
Yeah.
we normally call it, something like that. Yeah.
Like a little marketplace day where everyone just puts their stuff out and you invite.
I think that's really
Yeah.
nice. Everyone's got stuff like that they like to.
Yeah, right.
Like
Garage sale, except it's multiple garages.
Yeah,
at the same
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, high-end wardrobe sales, rather than
high-end
garage.
wardrobe
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing I do kind of that I have been trying to hang on to that I haven't been letting go of are ties. I've really tried not to let go of my neckties, unless they're like
why's that?
egregiously bad neckties, because I feel like it's harder and harder to get really good neckties.
That's a good point.
Like especially like some of the old unusual patterns, unusual colors, like there one day might even be a market for like great vintage neckties. You never know.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right?
Yeah, they're going to become more of a collector's piece and more of a kind of special item, special events piece, I think, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, like in London now, there's so few places that actually sell, like Drake's doesn't have that many, like Marinella has
exactly.
probably got the biggest range, and even that's a small shop,
Yeah.
Bud and various places like that have a few, Anderson Shepherd has a few, but yeah, there aren't that many around.
I guess there's like people like Hermes, Ferragamo probably still does there, but that's like a very particular kind of printed tie banker look almost,
Yeah.
Like some of the weirder, more like Kenji Kaga, like what they do, right?
Yeah.
That's a very old school tie look.
Yeah, that's
and I
very
love
true.
that, but you
Yeah.
don't see it in the marketplace that much anymore.
No, and that's a good point, because I was going to say, like I felt like you would collect more of those ties because you will probably wear more unusual patterns than I would, whereas I wear a lot of like dark ties and small, more subtle patterns. But actually, some kind of Kenji's ties that I have, they're still quite dark, but they're also quite unusual. Like the colour's quite unusual, or the pattern's kind of quite I'd never seen before, or something.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, those little jacquards.
Yeah.
And those remind me of kind of like 1920s, 1930s, that sort of style. To what extent do you alter your bespoke clothing?
Yeah, quite a lot. I think particularly, I've gone through a process of having, I guess I've had bespoke for about sort of 15 years or something now, and there are definitely things from the start that I've tried to alter as much as possible and still didn't quite fit.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are things that I pretty regularly alter. Like I see it as a big benefit of bespoke that's easier to do.
Yeah.
So I'm often altering things. I think even without the kind of changes over time, that I've just gradually got a little bit bigger and the fashion's got a little bit bigger, I've always kind of fluctuated weight within a certain range, just because I'd always done a lot of exercise. So if I suddenly stop doing that because of injury or lots of travel or something else, then suddenly the kind of weight will change. So I do have a few things like that which I know are a little bit small, but I'll probably get into them. It's just like an inch or two on jeans or something else like that. So I have those kind of things, and then do get things altered as well and let out and changed.
Have you found your feet have grown?
I'm not. A bit like the changing sizes generally, I find it really hard to separate changes in preference from changes in actual size. I definitely wear bigger shoes now. I used to sometimes wear like an 8.5. I wear almost exclusively like a 9 these days. But I really don't know whether I just seem to prefer either closer fitting shoes or just really prioritized a slimmer shoe and wanted something which is kind of slim and small and had that kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Or whether my feet have actually changed. But
Yeah.
I am aware that anatomically people's feet do tend to kind of spread out as they get older.
Yeah.
I think you lose a bit of that kind of strength in your feet, and the kind of the joints tend to relax, and you kind of
Oh,
they
is
do
that
get
what
a
it
bit
is?
bigger, I think. Yeah.
Someone told me men's feet continue to grow for the rest of their lives. Yeah. I don't know how credible this source is, so this could be complete nonsense. But I do find like shoes that I'm pretty sure used to fit me 10 years ago
Yeah.
don't fit the same.
Yeah.
They feel like not tight, they feel short.
Yeah.
They feel short. Like I feel it on my fourth, on my fifth toe.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always like a bit reluctant to get rid of those, but I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, there's no way to avoid that. You can't really, you can stretch your shoe a little bit in the width, but when you've got like the toe puff and heel structure, you can't really stretch that kind of length, so nothing's happening there.
No, exactly.
I'm pretty sure that, your feet just kind of, the joints kind of relax, which would explain how your like those little toes are kind of like pushing more against the edges.
Yeah.
And I think there's a point where you also just get a bit older and you recognize that you value comfort a bit more because you have other issues. You know, you might have issues with your knees, your back, whatever it might be. And you just start to value comfort a bit more, and then maybe you want a little bit more space than you used to as well, or you notice slight discomfort that you didn't notice before.
Yeah. I mean, I remember earlier, you know, if you went 15 years, right? I think shoes in general were more sleek.
Yeah.
And now, because of the wider trouser thing, I think that everyone's starting to come around to like a slightly more built-up shoe, you know, slightly wider welt, slightly thicker sole, like a little bit higher in the toe box. I like the look, and plus it's comfortable. I think it's cool. But like I look at my early Bespokes, right, and they're kind of slipper-esque. They're kind of like ballet slipper-esque.
Yeah.
Because they're just so close to the foot. And I was like, man, what were we wearing back then? Like, how did we wear this, you know? So.
Yeah, I find it hard to separate with some of my Bespoke shoe commissions because I didn't have that much luck with like a lot of Bespoke shoes to start with, and I felt like when I talked about it on Permanent Style, I felt I couldn't really recommend the process because I hadn't really ended up with lots of Bespoke shoes that I really wore all the time.
Oh.
But again, I find it hard to separate how much was the fault of the shoemaker and how much was the fault of me not really knowing what I wanted. Because a lot of those shoes back then were very tight around the whole of the foot, but particularly kind of around the toes, and I just thought that was normal. And I think when you don't have any experience with having something fitted like that, and the shoemaker thinks that feels like a good fit, you kind of trust them because they've got vast amounts of experience compared to you.
Yeah.
So again, I find those things hard to separate, but it does, it does surprise me how small like some of them were. Like I remember, I think Lucas and I went to see a shoemaker to try and stretch a pair of shoes like a couple of years ago on it was like a hot summer's day. And I brought the shoes along with me, and I literally was struggling to get them on with a shoehorn. And he was saying, it just looks so painful when you're trying to get those shoes on. It's like, how could they be that small? I don't understand. And obviously you've been walking and it was hot, but even so, your shoes, should at least be able to get on and be usable.
I got a similar story. We had finished a trunk show with one of our shoemakers, and they had just made me this pair of Bespoke loafers, and it was it was in the summer in Hong Kong. We'd finished dinner, it was salty dinner and stuff, so your foot's swollen up a bit, and I was like, oh, this is really painful. And so I took off my shoes in the restaurant under the tables in order to know, and I couldn't get them back on. Like I literally couldn't I had to leave the restaurant on my tiptoes. Like I was just sort of standing on the heel of my shoe and like tiptoed out. And then we left the restaurant, and then the shoemaker and I were on the side of the street trying to like force the shoe back on.
Oh God.
It was pretty embarrassing.
Sounds
I'm pretty
like
sure I let go of that pair of shoes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I let go of that.
Sounds like ugly sisters like trying to get on the glass
yes,
slipper.
exactly. Some sort of Cinderella metaphor there. Yeah.
But how do you, if you have a customer who hears that kind of story and is thinking of having bespoke shoes made, what kind of advice do you give them then? Because like so much the sale early on with this kind of clothing, and the same with bespoke tailoring as well, but bespoke tailoring is a little bit easier, is that this is something for life. This is like an investment thing that's going to last for generations, and then 10 years later you have the experience that actually I can't wear this thing anymore.
Yeah.
And 10 years isn't that bad for a lot of, by a lot of clothing standards. But yeah, if a customer says, should I really get bespoke shoes if this is kind of people's experience, what do you say?
Well, we always tell customers, look, bespoke is not for everybody, right? Like, the ugly truth that people don't like to speak about is that the first shot you have of bespoke anything is really a prototype.
Yeah.
You don't really know how good or poorly this thing is going to go. Generally it goes well, and generally like makers will do their best to ameliorate it. I think especially with shoes, because especially if you're a new customer to bespoke shoes, you are obsessed with like this very precise fit, right? Because you're like, this is being made for me, it should be precisely fit. But when it comes to shoes, it's dangerous to have too precise a fit. It's better to err a little bit on the side of large, because also there's different things you can do to the bespoke shoe to just like, you put a little tongue pad, or you add a half insole, something like that. Just like adjust the fit just slightly, then you have a bit of leeway, and it just is comfortable. It's usable.
Yeah, agree.
But I have to say, like, I haven't had, other than those like very, very initial pairs,
Yeah.
I haven't had any big issues with my shoemakers.
Okay.
Any of them. Both the ones that we work with at the Armoury and the ones we don't work with at the Armoury. Like, it's always been a fun experience. It's always been kind of eye-opening, you know. And it is definitely fun to see like the different ways that they size you up, you know. I think one thing though, one detail when it comes to bespoke shoes is that sometimes people pick styles. I know I certainly do. Pick styles that are not very forgiving in the first place.
Well, like loafers, for example.
Like for instance, if you were to do a full strap loafer, right?
Yeah.
A full strap loafer where you have a stitched panel that goes from the welt all the way across the other welt, right? That's really going to bind you in, and you got to save designs like that for like after your last is mature. You can't like jump in with a design like that. It's asking for trouble. Or like cap toes, right? Because cap toes are always a little tricky because you have that big panel of leather there.
Yeah, and where's that going to bite on the foot?
It could bite you right on top of your toes, you know?
Yeah.
That's why like when I do bespoke cap toes, I ask them, please don't put a separate panel, just do the stitch and that's it. You know?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. That's how we did our, when the Army did its ready to wear, rather than do a cap toe, we just did a stitch.
Yeah, okay.
You know, because it's a little easier that way, I think.
Yeah. You have never quite understood why shoemakers seem to vary a lot into whether they like doing like a loafer as the first shoe or not. Like some of them will never do it and some think it's absolutely fine. Because it always seems to be the hardest thing to get like a really good fit on.
Yeah.
And I'm never quite sure why there's such variation between the shoemakers on that.
I mean, almost universally among the shoemakers I've dealt with, they're like, please don't make us do a bespoke loafer first. Please start with the Oxford first.
Did you do a loafer with cannons first or not? Cause
I did do a loafer with cannons first, but I think because Simon also felt like I was was a manageable fit.
Okay.
You know, and the fitting did turn out well, so it was fine.
Okay.
It was fine. Plus, I was picking like relatively soft leather, so it was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm wearing. This is the cannons I just got. The little buckle on the side. Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. Do you consider your wardrobe seasonally, or do you consider it just like one whole year at a time?
No, no, very seasonal. I guess partly that's because
I think when you enjoy clothing, you enjoy the
seasonality of it. You enjoy things that are for summer, doing things that are for winter. And there's also a point where you get to where you're a bit of a problem. You have too many clothes, and you do therefore have to kind of have seasonal clothes that kind of go away to storage or the back of the wardrobe or whatever else would go in boxes under the bed and things that kind of are for that season.
So no, I definitely think of it
as seasonal. I think it's a real joy. Like I assume you'd agree with that. I think that one of the nicest things about working in men's clothing is the ability to give people joy in the kind of things that they wear. You know, everybody wears clothes and just like enjoying what you eat or drink or anything. Like if you can get real pleasure out of the clothes you wear, it's an amazing thing to give to people. And one element of that is dressing specifically for the weather as well. You know, you have a day like today in Hong Kong where it's like 20-something degrees during the day, but actually it's a little bit chilly at night. You're like, okay, well, let's do some layering with a light sweater that you can take off later, or sweater around the shoulders or something, or some fabrics which are going to kind of, you know, be light enough but then kind of warm later and that kind of thing. I think maybe that could be a bit frustrating when you feel you're just kind of learning how to do it, but I think it's definitely something which I think is a pleasure when you can.
I think that's a big part of the early stages of building a wardrobe, when you're not even considering like building a wardrobe and you're more just like, oh man, I still got to get this piece and that piece and that piece, you know. And after you have all the pieces, you know, and then you can assemble the looks based on, you know, the garment vocabulary you have, you know, I think that's when it actually starts to become satisfying. That's when it really turns the corner.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think sometimes some kind of outer perspective is good on this. Like I think a lot of men have a fairly complicated relationship with their partners when it comes to clothes, but often like it's good to get the kind of perspective from the outside and they go, but you've got great things to wear for this season, for that season. You're like, oh actually I do, don't I? So sometimes it's easy to lose perspective on those kind of things because you're just focusing on that new piece or this new kind of category or something like that. And so, why don't you wear like that sweater before, or, you know, put that sweater with that gilet and stuff. I find that really helpful, particularly as somebody who's known you for quite a long time and knows you and your wardrobe fairly well. I think that's really nice.
I think as you get into it, though, you start to really learn how to pick up on the nuances of things, right? Not every navy is created equal, you know. Not every suiting is created equal. Like sometimes you just have specific types of this and that for this and that occasion too, which, you know, I like that. I was once at one of Liverano's like big customers' homes in Florence, and he was really proud to show me his wardrobe. And it was like one wardrobe that was just 50 navy suits, and one wardrobe that was just 50 gray suits. And I was like, how do you even like think up 50 variations of navy and gray suits just for yourself, right? But to be honest, every single piece was amazing, and every single piece really was different, you know.
Okay.
So it is actually, I don't know. You can split the hairs pretty finely.
Yeah. Do you think that's one secret to good wardrobe building then, to sort of almost set yourself some limitations? Because clearly he had set the certain limitations of navy suits and grey suits and was playing kind of within that. Do you think that's quite healthy? Not necessarily to that extreme, but some kind of limitations.
He was an artist, and so I think he had a very particular and sensitive eye, and maybe internally he's always had not a limitation, but he's always had that mental framework for how he handles color. I'm not that organized, but I do think like, oh, there's this one section this is stuff that I wear during the week for just regular work, and this is stuff I wear in the evening for a special occasion, blah blah blah. Which I've always liked that sort of thing, because it helps to demarcate like a regular occasion from a special occasion. You know?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's nice to celebrate the occasion. Like we're doing an event in the Piccadilly Arcade, and I was mentioning that it's nice to dress up. It almost doesn't matter whether you wear black tie or evening wear or whatever you kind of wear. If you're just dressing up, and everybody will benefit from the fact that everyone's making an effort, and that just kind of makes everything special, which is nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I have this theory that you know how people like to say, oh, I'm the boss of the company, so I'm going to come in t-shirts and shorts, right? And people are like, oh, wearing t-shirts and shorts to work is such a power move. But I have this theory that actually it's not so much a power move, it's more like because you're the boss, you're at work all the time. And so you've basically lost any chance to draw a boundary between like when you're in work and when you're out of work.
And you've done it for so long that it feels completely normal to not have that division, whereas for everyone else, or for some other people at least at the office, they have more of a division.
So in a way, it's kind of sad that you have to wear a t-shirt and shorts to the office because you couldn't enjoy your weekend properly. So you have to kind of like bring a shred of the weekend back into work with you, you know.
I think that point about I've always found it useful with permanent style actually as a way to think through my wardrobe. Like I remember writing an article a couple of years ago talking about like my working week and how I divided into three things, like the weekend and then sort of casual during the week and formal during the week. So like the weekend with more like jeans and sweatshirts and boots, whatever, and then it'd be like smart tailoring, you know, suits or sports jackets is kind of my smart during the week, and then casual during the week would be more things like nice shoes and maybe flannels but a sweater, or jeans and loafers and sweater, or something that kind of thing. And I think it's actually been very helpful being able to formalize that kind of stuff by writing it down. You know, I think even if the blog wasn't particularly popular, I still am writing this kind of stuff down probably because it's quite a good way to sort of organize your thoughts.
Do you keep photos of the wardrobe?
I do, yeah. I think I've written about this as well. I'm pretty sure, well, readers are usually have better memory than I do about the things on the site, but I'm pretty sure I've written about this. Yeah, I have, so my system is that every day I'm wearing something which is a new outfit which I like, then I'll take a picture of it in the mirror. And that keeps on my phone, and then every 6 months, sometimes every year or something like that, when I have some free time, I'll go through all of those outfits and like organize them into some very rough categories. That was actually why there's now a section on the website called the Lookbook, which is all of the outfits that are featured on the website organized into the same categories. So roughly by like summer, winter and spring or autumn, and then roughly by kind of the outer piece of a garment, so like a coat or a suit, a jacket, chinos or jeans, something like that. And so all those outfits on the website and all the outfits of my own, you've got like folders you can kind of search through and go, okay, so what are the kind of few ways I wore this coat like last year? Like, oh yeah, actually cool, that was really nice with that green, wasn't it? And, maybe it's my memory's not very good, so maybe that's an issue as well. I need to have it kind of formalized, otherwise I won't remember the thing that we wore with last time. But
does that help you generate new outfits?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that helps me remember things I've worn in the past that work very well. I think generally generating new outfits comes from more saving outfits from the web, from
the internet, from people I see, from Instagram, that kind of thing. And then I'll have a separate folder of those kind of things. So I'm like, oh, okay, let's let's have a look in that folder and see if there's anything fun to try out, basically.
You know, there's the permanent style collection, right? Commercial products you're selling. To what extent are those connected with your wardrobe building?
Yeah, they're pretty closely connected, because I think nearly all of the products have emerged from trying to do something myself that I couldn't find quite the version that I wanted out there.
Yeah.
And not in a very systematic way necessarily, but often when we're covering like a new manufacturer, like often a brand is also a manufacturer, and you're speaking to them and you're like, oh, actually I love that knit you've done, but like, have you ever done one with more like a higher collar, or have you ever done one in a different fit or something? Because I know that would fit into my wardrobe. So they're often quite direct connection from that point of view, which I think is quite helpful, because organising it has not been systematic and it doesn't really feel like a consistent collection like you normally have from a brand. But it probably has a little bit of consistency because it's mostly stemmed from things that I wanted or things that I was going to wear.
Well, I guess this ties in with, because we were just trying to recall what we were talking about a second ago. I guess this ties in with, like, when you do expand the wardrobe, how do you expand it, right? And at the end of the day, expanding the wardrobe is like, oh, I want to try something new, or I have a very specific need. It's always one of those two. Right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, actually the one I find that readers find quite helpful is, I think they understand sort of tailoring and the tailoring related world fairly well. When it comes to more casual clothing, I think it can be tough, because when your casual clothing can vary so much, like we were talking before about different trouser widths, for example, and it can be that, like, say you like a lot of old like Western clothing and like roper boots and that kind of world, often that can be fairly slim because that was the functional side. Whereas if you like workwear that's actually driven by actual work factories and all this kind of thing, it can be quite a different fit entirely. Like you can have, you know, overalls and bigger fits of jeans and things. So I think it's often useful to think of it in terms of the casual side and certain kind of paradigms or certain kind of looks. Definitely. Which is, I think, much harder than tailoring because there's with tailoring it's much narrower, and I think often readers find that they get into trouble when they have a certain kind of casual look that they wear, and then the thing that's exciting is sort of in a different area. So something like
and they don't have enough parts to complete
or something else.
that.
Yeah, exactly. And the new thing they like doesn't really go with the other things because that new thing has a whole assumption of different silhouettes and different materials and so on. So I think that can be a way that people like to expand the wardrobe. It can be a kind of slightly dangerous one.
I mean, I think one example that most people have gone through, like most of our customers, readers, whatever, have gone through, is that transition between using your suit shirts for something else. You know, like a lot of people have like or a lot of people used to have only fine poplins and nothing else. Right? No Oxfords, no chambrays. And like fine poplins don't always look good with a lot of casual stuff.
It was very much when you used to have like the dress down Friday thing, and now people not actually wearing suits that much into a business office. The classic thing you'd see in London was a guy in like a clearly very smart, slightly shiny shirt with like a spread collar and like double cuffs, but wearing it like tucked into jeans and stuff. And you're like, oh no, it just looks terrible. And it's hard
to pull that one off.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone pull one off.
Yeah, and it's hard because it takes a certain level of. There's almost two different ways you can think about it. Like a lot of probably your customers and my readers would go down the direction of, okay, I want to understand fabrics and coarseness and, you know, super numbers. I know what, you know, all these kind of things and fits and what makes a shirt casual. Whereas actually what the mainstream customer is more used to is like, I just need to find a different brand. They go and find a different brand that does more casual shirts, then I just buy a casual shirt from them. I don't have to understand all this detail, but it's kind of you have to go down one or the other to kind of show you how to do that, I think.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Drake's has been pretty good about, I mean, the Drake's casual shirt collection at the end of the day is like a lot more extensive and a lot more well-known than the classic dress shirt collection.
True, yeah.
And, you know, it took Drake's quite a number of years to like pivot into that too, you know. Whereas, and you know, actually Ralph Lauren's another one that does that very well, right? Ralph Lauren's always got a few of those very preppy, especially the Oxford button down is like a foundation of the Ralph Lauren look, you know. That translates super well into casual wear. It basically was born as casual wear.
Yeah, exactly. I think particularly all the kind of polo stuff, that's the things that a lot of people started wearing and grew up on, they were always fairly casual shirts anyway, because that whole kind of preppy look, you were wearing fairly casual shirts, you know, you're wearing a button-down Oxford with a knit tie or whatever, and that was kind of the look that that preppy or ivy look. So actually, those shirts go fairly easy with jeans anyway. Like it's the harder thing is if you got like the super fine kind of purple label cutaway collars or something. That's a harder thing to put with jeans.
Very specific.
Yeah,
it's very specific. Oh, that's not nice. I do like it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, but sometimes a brand does that very well. Like you see those kind of shirts from like a purple label, and purple label do a jean, and it's not the kind of jean I like, but if they do it, it would be a very clean denim, and it'd be very dark and very matte, and maybe they use like a navy stitching or something, because they're going like, if a jean is going to work with this shirt, this is what it would be. And that's not the kind of jeans I like, but I can see how they're telling the customer, okay, if you're going to wear jeans with this, this is the kind of jean to wear with it, because it's going to be much cleaner than those other ones you're going to get from a Levi's or someone else.
Yeah, it's a very brand specific, very designed jean, right? Whereas I think the jeans we like are just ones that kind of suit a historical archetype.
Yeah,
we appreciate the context of that particular design within the history and within the purpose at the time for the jean,
Yeah, you keep.
Which who knows? Like maybe this is as dumb a cosplay approach as any too. Like it's is it contrived? Would you say that's contrived?
What to just stay within that kind of more workwear, rugged look with jeans?
Yeah.
I don't think so necessarily. I have seen people wear darker, smarter jeans that I do like on them, but I think it's just a very, very specific look that then requires a lot of other things to go with it. You can wear that jean, but then you have to wear it with like probably a black shoe or a very, very dark brown shoe, and probably something slightly slimmer as well. Probably it's not going to go with a really kind of big chunky shoe, but also you don't want to wear it with like a black Oxford necessarily, and so it just gets much more kind of niche and specific. Whereas I think a lot of the clothes that maybe the ones that become more popular, like that, the sort of preppy look, or things that go with a tailoring, that grew up from a lot of business wear, is a bit easier to combine with different things, a little bit less niche.
Well, to go even deeper into like the niche, what do you think of wool denim?
I've tried it over the years, and I think I would put it in probably the same kind of category, in that it's not for me, because a bit like doing like a navy stitch on a dark indigo jean, it takes away most of the stuff takes away everything really that I like about jeans, basically. And sometimes it can be done well, those kind of slightly more unusual looks, but most of the time, unfortunately, I think what happens is a brand or a person they want to wear jeans in this smart way, and they don't really understand enough about clothing generally to just go, okay, actually what I really want is like a navy serge trouser or something, because they don't understand the difference. They know there's these business trousers they used to have, and they know there's jeans, they want something in between, but they don't really want a smart jean. What they want is a more casual smart trouser or something along those lines. So I think that's where kind of it often goes wrong, and it often happens with, I think, and it's unfortunate, often happens with like tailors as well, because tailors don't have often much style awareness or experience with designing things, and when they try and design things that are new, try and fill this niche that the customer are telling them about, they don't really have much to draw on, much experience to kind of design something. They end up doing like, oh yeah, okay, we can make denim, let me phone up my fabric supplier and see what denim they do. Oh, they've got this, smooth denim, and they make a suit out of it. Oh, that looks good, I think. And then they send the customers like,
when it's sort of like, it didn't really need to exist, to be honest.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, that reminds me of when you see like dress shoe uppers on a sneaker sole.
Oh yeah.
That's always it's not for me. It's not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, you can see when there's those clear gaps in the market, you can see, because everyone's trying to fill it in a slightly different way. Like people want like a really comfortable shoe they can wear with a suit. So it's like, okay, some guys get trainers that are like all in black, and other people get like a sort of flat common projects kind of style shoe and put it like a fancy leather on top but on a white sole, and it's like they're all attempts to fit things but never quite fill that kind of the right actual size of the hole that you need.
I guess look, they're trying to make a permutation of some existing thing that is at least novel to a certain extent. Yeah. So at least they're not trying to copy someone. I guess I respect that attitude.
Yeah. I think that
hard sell.
Yeah. I think the best solutions to that kind of thing are normally not trying to shoehorn a different style into it, but just like improving where you can the thing that exists already.
Yeah.
So, okay, don't take a sneaker and try and make it a dress shoe, but take that dress shoe and make it unlined maybe. Make it in a leather which is not like a a fine like box calf, but something which is a little bit oily and has a little bit more kind of like softness and like fluidity to it. Put it on a thin rubber sole that's kind of more comfortable, but almost kind of visible. Maybe do like a nice derby construction, because that construction is going to fit more people and is more comfortable people most of the time than a loafer or an Oxford or something else. And it's like, I think a lot of the good shoe brands we work with are doing things like that, and I think that can work really well, rather than trying to force something in from the sides. And if that version of that kind of smart shoe doesn't work for people, they're not going to be able to wear like a smart shoe. They don't really want a smart shoe. And if it's not working for them, it's just often because they're so used to wearing sneakers or something else, they just can't get their head around that something can be not quite as comfortable as that. And or there's like that kind of consumer kind of assumption where like there must be someone out there that can make something for me, or if someone's selling me something, it must kind of fit into this mold, when they've actually got to use it a little bit with their own kind of like taste.
I do like it though when new products come about simply because there's been some development in material or some new thinking about how materials are used. Like Armoury is well known for its safari jackets, and we start to really push that into things like ultra suede safari jackets, which as far as I know, no one's ever done before us, and that renders really well. Like it really feels like not like a leather jacket, but not like a fabric jacket. It has a little bit of a moleskin look, but it's also kind of a nice equivalent to a suede jacket. Or we did kimono silk. That was another interesting one. I really like how that came out. Yeah. And then as you change these materials, as you well know, because you deal with tailoring a lot too, like the look of the garment is completely different because the way it hangs is completely different. For the same reason why, like, hey, I made my bespoke pattern in linen and wool. Why does it look so different? It's because linen hangs very, very differently from wool, and how it sits on the body and how it emphasizes or de-emphasizes is very, very different. Yeah.
I think that's the thing about when you use those kind of change materials or do something like innovation in material, like you were saying. I think it can be really nice and can work very well, but it's not usually a direct replacement of the thing you're trying to kind of replace, right? Yeah. If the guy's saying, okay, I have suede jackets, but suede is a bit too delicate and a bit too heavy or something, and I want exactly the same but with more performance or something, it's like, well, you can't really get that, because if you change to something more performance, you're gonna not necessarily lose something, but it's gonna be a different garment. It's gonna be a different look and a different thing. Yeah. And I think that's what the mistake people make when they're consuming these things, is like, okay, you just have to think, do I actually like this garment, like, for itself and every aspect of it, rather than I like an improvement on this other thing that existed. Like they're almost equating it with like maybe technology or something, not clothes, where things can just be improved through innovation all the time without losing anything of the original. Yeah. Whereas that doesn't really happen most of the time with clothes in that way.
That's a super interesting point, especially in the context of building wardrobes, where it's like,
I thought you liked the technology comparison.
I do like technology. I love that. Well done. But I do think eventually you mature out of the viewpoint of, I need to get the better version of something else. At some point you just accept that this thing is this combination of factors and parameters, and you enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think sometimes that can lead people to really appreciate some like traditional things as well. It's like you get like a tweed jacket, everyone tells you it's great, and you're like, it's great, but it's a little bit heavy or a little bit itchy or something. And then you go to like a really lightweight tweed, and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's softer and it's lighter now, but it kind of like creases all the time. It doesn't hang very well. Or something. Okay, like maybe I'll try the same texture but in a cashmere, and you're like, yeah, but it's a bit shiny now. It's not as smart. And like, actually, you just want tweed. You just have to get used to that's what tweed is. Yeah. And then you get to love that original material for what it was and why people have been wearing it for centuries. And still are. Yeah. Rather than thinking you just need to somehow you're going to improve it by finding like this discovery by doing something completely different.
And sometimes you can just come to learn to love the flaws of something too. Yeah. You have this jacket, and it always fit a bit weird, but you still really like it, and so you just keep it in the wardrobe and you keep it part of the rotation. Yeah. Because why not? Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. Damn, how long have we been talking for? Not too bad. We should probably start thinking about wrapping up.
Okay.
What do you want to? What do you want to? I don't know. Maybe some final thoughts about building a wardrobe.
Yeah, I think one thing piece of advice I think people really benefit from to readers on the website when they're asking questions is to do it slowly and quite organically when you're building a wardrobe. I think there's a tendency, sometimes people go too fast, and you see particularly with this with guys who have a lot of money, they will buy like everything quite quickly, they'll commission too much stuff too quickly, and then they'll realize they've made a bunch of mistakes and have to do all over again within a couple of years. And then sometimes you have the guys who don't have that necessarily the money to buy everything at once, but because they're quite analytical, they end up like planning everything out they're going to buy for the next 10 years, when they're going to invest in certain things. And you know, when I've done consultancy for readers and things, and we do these discussions, it's pretty common that they'll kind of then give you a spreadsheet of what their plan is for the next 5 years of like buying things. And you're like, that's great that you went through that thought process, and that's probably very useful. But in 2 years' time, you would have changed your mind on a bunch of this stuff. And
you as a person would have changed as well.
Exactly, and that's absolutely fine, because that journey is a lot of the pleasure of it. And even if it means that, you know, in a couple of years you bought one thing which you really actually was a mistake, and you have to find someone else, you know, another home for it, then that's fine, and they'll probably appreciate it. You know, it's not this kind of analytical, like linear thing, because you'll discover things about the clothes and things about yourself in the process. But that's really fun. That's, you know, it's part of the process. It's like learning what food you really like or what wine you really like. You know, that process is really enjoyable. It's not trying to get to this kind of end point.
Yeah, exactly. You enjoy the journey. Absolutely. Because I mean, I think that, and maybe it's important to just give a number. I've been enjoying and exploring clothes since I was 16, right?
I thought you were going to tell me how many clothes you had.
No. I would never be so gauche as to flex like that. But you know, I've been looking at clothes, like seriously looking at clothes for like 20 plus years, right? And it's probably only in the last like 5, maybe 7 years where I would say I have a wardrobe now. Prior to that, I had bits of clothing, right? But now I feel like I have a wardrobe and I kind of enjoy it, and I enjoy like, you know, going through it, bringing it in and out through the seasons, like, but it took a long time. And I think everyone needs to be mentally prepared, like, hey, this is going to take a while.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think it's just telling people that isn't a bad thing or depressing thing necessarily. You know, that again, it's really enjoyable getting to that point, because there's so many clothes you've enjoyed and experienced along the way to get there. You know, a bit like actually buying clothes. Like we were discussing about this recently on the website. When you get to the point where you kind of have filled all your gaps in your wardrobe, some of the joy has gone out of it, because you're not buying anything anymore, and like actually buying and researching stuff was part of the joy of doing it. So if you speak to someone who's been through that process and now has lacked that, hopefully you can enjoy the fact that you're still going through this process and still buying things and researching things and finding things that you enjoy, because that's a huge part of the joy. It's not just about being able to kind of put together a perfect wardrobe and have something for every occasion and then not thinking about clothes ever again.
100%.
So, yeah.
Although I think now for me, and it's actually the same for me in my watch collecting too, it's like there are certain things I instinctively like. I'm not always able to explain why I like them, but I give it a try, and it gets made, or I purchase it and I just start working into the wardrobe, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful feeling, and I don't think that feeling will ever go away. Once you've gotten past the structured part of like trying to build it, like the spontaneous discovery, that joy I don't think ever goes away.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool. That's kind of cool. All right. Well, we wish all the viewers the best of luck in building a wonderful wardrobe. Take your time, explore, experiment. And Simon, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see you in Hong Kong. I hope
too, man.
See you again in Hong Kong soon.
Yeah, really nice being here.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Cheers.
That's for now. Thanks for watching.